Tyre Nichols. This is the young man who was stopped by the police. He ran from them and began to beat him brutally beat him, get him down on the ground, kicking him. He's handcuffed. Five guys, five police officers, beating a man who later dies at the hospital. But they cuff him, got him down on the ground, punching him, kicking him, standing him up, and then teeing off on him, knocking him in the head. You know, his face is puffy. We got a picture of him, the thumbnail of this for this episode. And he later succumbed to his injuries and died at the hospital. Tragic, wrong for these police officers to do this. Whenever this happens, there's usually one or two cops that do the most beating and the most abuse, and the others stand by and watch or don't say anything. So that makes them conspirators. That makes them a part of it. You should try to stop it. You should say something to them. And the fate of all of these police officers is now hanging in the balance because there's video footage from body cam and also security surveillance showing the ones that did not participate in most of the beating and kicking. It's showing them being complicit with it. It's showing them complying, being okay with it, not saying anything, not trying to stop. So now their future, their career is in jeopardy because they chose to endorse this. Silence is not violence, but silence is agreement, especially in a situation like this. It's unfortunate. He is a young man, again, unarmed. I think he had been drinking, so maybe it was, started out as a routine stop, DUI. Conservatives, I, and many people, we treat and judge people as individuals. And I do also. So this isn't a smear against the police, the American police. It's not a smear against the Memphis Police Department. It is coming against these five officers, those individuals whose names have been published, broadcast, their names, their pictures, their identity has gone forth, and they need to be punished for what they did. 99% of all police officers are good. We're going to get into race because, that had to be incorporated into it. The race hustlers and the media had to make race a part of it. This is the first time that I know of, that I can think of off the top of my head, where there's a national story of black on black violence. I mean, is police officers, they're in that position, so I guess you could call it that first. Call it police brutality first, and then you could call it black on black. But this is all black people involved. There's, the white man had nothing to do with this. They need to be held accountable for what they did. But to black people listening, to everyone, 99% of the police officers that you have come in contact with that have stopped you on a routine traffic stop or for any reason that have interfaced with you and come in contact with you have been good police officers and have handled themselves professionally. This is nationwide. Now, if half of the time or most of the time the police are aggressive with you or abusive to you, that's because of your behavior. You're probably a criminal and you're doing things that you're not supposed to be doing. Now, for those of us that are not criminals, that are just minding our business, trying to get through the day, trying to get through traffic, and the police stop us, we need to comply with them. And what we don't need to do is curse at them, yell at them, spit at them, be disrespectful, try to run. or try to fight them. Police officers are soldiers. They're trained in fighting and shooting. They're organized. They're trained. They're going to outnumber you. Their skill with firearms is going to be better. They're probably going to be better fist fighters than you. Don't try to fight them. If they mistreat you in any way that is inhumane, get the best lawyer that you can find. Try to raise money for a lawyer. Let it be known. Get it out there. See if you can get support from many people, and then hit them in the courtroom. Sue that police department for damages. But I want to see people make it home. Even if they arrest you and take you to jail and you don't make it home, I want to see you survive the whole ordeal so that you can live, you can come back to live another day. This isn't about the police being a national entity or institution that is bad. We need the police, and this is what I want to say for the people that think that we should defund the police. The people who say that, they're thinking, well, we want them to, they either want them to go away, they want them to completely go away, or we gonna try to use that as an incentive for them to straighten up and act right. We're gonna cut your pay. We're gonna cut your individual paychecks and the money that goes to you having, the kind of things that you need to fight crime, squad cars, guns, ammo, everything. We're gonna cut that. We're gonna cut that unless you be professional. So it's like punish everybody, whether you're talking about citywide or nationwide. You're going to punish the police officers and give them less of what they need to fight crime. So this is what I want to say to people that want to defund the police. Let's let people vote on it. And however you want to do this, you want to have them vote in local elections. If they want to defund the police, have it on a ballot. Do you want to defund the police? Yes or no? And if it is yes, let's find out who those people are. So here's the thing. You want to defund the police, you cannot call 911 because 911 dispatchers get police out. You don't want police. You want to go at it alone. You want to take it on yourself. So we get their information so that when they call 911, their number is blocked. Cell phone number, home number. They get a call from you, it doesn't go through because the resources and the money that we have left, we have to put it toward other people that appreciate us and want the police. So to me, that's the answer to that. Let people vote on it. And then the individuals that want the police to go away or not have the resources they need, you can't call the police. Why are you calling somebody you don't want them to have what they need? And then let's set it up like, let's break it down. Like tax dollars go to police departments. So let's make it so that person, whatever, however little or however much that is, make it so that they don't have to pay money to go to them. They still have to pay taxes, but none of their tax dollars can be used for police. So that I just want to make it fair. As far as police brutality, this is not something that only happens to Black people. There are people of every race in America that you can name, unarmed people that get beaten and shot by the police. Why don't we see it? Because the media doesn't report it. Surveillance cameras are not prejudice. And surveillance cameras and body cams catch everything. But for coming from someone who majored in journalism in college, and I know how this works, when a white officer kills a white person, that's not considered news, especially on a national level. It's not considered news. They're trying to sell stories. And they know that Black people are the biggest protesters, maybe the only group of rioters that When If you have seen another race of people in America other than black people rioting, I want you to email me at brutehonest.radio@gmail.com. Yeah, there's people of all races that get killed and brutalized by the police. We don't see that. We don't see it, but there is proof and there's evidence and the statistics show that it happens. This became a national story because it was 5-on-1, 5-on-1, and caught on camera. You have to understand what happened to George Floyd and many other blacks. They become national stories because it's caught on video. We're a visual society. I don't want to say entertaining, but it's harder to have a story that catches fire and goes viral when you don't have a video to look at. So there are people that got their heads blown off by the police, but there's no video of it. So that just makes for a better story for the media. Why do they want good stories? So that they can make money. I mean, they're a business just like any business. They need to make money too. There's a list that we learn in journalism for things to be considered news. One of the things is if there's a black person killed by a white person. Never mind that there's more whites every year killed by blacks than there is blacks killed by whites. And one of the reasons for that is because whites don't get as emotional. If this were a white victim, a white person who was killed, so the white people that, from what I see, from what I observe, white people would fall into one of two categories. Either they wouldn't say anything at all. I mean, there would be no protesting. There would be no microphones in their face unless, they're walking down the street and people want to get their opinion. But nobody gets as emotional as black people. So there would be no white people protesting, even if it was 5 black officers that beat a white person to death. They wouldn't be protesting. They wouldn't be shouting racism. Or the people that you would hear from would be the people that knew the victim personally, friends and family, or that lived in that city, in that community, especially if there's a pattern of this happening. All right. And I haven't seen white people stick up for criminals. When someone is a criminal, is a suspect, is resisting arrest, I don't see white people stand up for them. I just, so I guess that's another category of the people, how they would respond to it is they would say that they got what they deserve. That's what I hear. That's what I hear now from talking to people. Yeah, the race hustlers have said that this is because of racism, that these 5 black officers beat this black man who later died from his injuries, including Al Sharpton. Al Sharpton and some other people, I heard this on the radio, these different people speaking. It sounded like Maxine Waters was one of them. If it wasn't, I apologize. But they're saying basically that it's racism that caused these officers to beat this man because of how black people are perceived. No, it's not. You got good cops and you got bad cops. And when someone resists arrest or they run from the police, bad cops ignite. So Al Sharpton is saying because of the way that black people are perceived. Well, who caused that? Who caused this thing about black people being perceived in a negative light? The media? You? Who caused it? The only time you see or hear from Reverend Al Sharpton is when he's going to accuse something of being racist. This is a preacher. Has anybody ever heard him talk about Jesus? Raise your hand. Every time I hear him, every time I've heard him, he was lying about Tawana Brawley, talking about racism, or preaching James Brown's funeral, stuff like that. This is the summit. This is the crest of Black leadership in America. I'm interested to hear what Farrakhan has to say about this. He's supposed to be one of our Black leaders. It's going to be very interesting to hear what Mr. Farrakhan has to say about it. And the media needs to ask why. Journalists, real journalists, ask 5 or so basic questions: who, what, where, why, how. And